Pileated woodpeckers are now the largest woodpeckers we have in North America. That honor would have historically went to the ivory-billed woodpecker, but that woodpecker now is officially extinct. So these pileated woodpeckers, by the way, are about the size of an American crow. So they are pretty huge birds when you see them out in the forest. We're looking here at a female, and we can tell for sure because she's got some red on the top of her head, but that crest only covers the back of her head. On the male, that red would extend right up to touch his bill, and he'd have a little kind of a red patch on the side of his cheek as well. These pileated woodpeckers are very fond of carpenter ants. That makes up about 50% of their diet. But I think this one here was hammering into that old silver maple tree, searching for wood-boring beetle larvae, another of their favorite foods. You'll find pileated woodpeckers in large stands of mature forests. They like big trees for feeding and nesting. They are quite secretive and shy, even though they're very large. So you don't often see them in the woods, but when you do, it's a real treat. And now that the leaves are mostly off the trees in November, this is a good time to see one. Most mushrooms are done fruiting now for the year, just because it's gotten quite cold outside. We've had some nights down below freezing, and mushrooms don't like that as a general rule for popping up out of the ground. But these shaggy manes are pretty tough little characters right here, and they often will come up after we've had a frost. Look for these shaggy manes out in short grass areas, lawns, cemeteries, schoolyards. Places like that are always good spots to find these shaggy manes. They're one of the easiest mushrooms to recognize. They kind of look like white or tan popsicles popping out of the ground there. And by the way, as they're a fairly fragile mushroom in the fact that they don't last for long. They start to decompose fairly quickly, and they basically turn black and just dissolve as they get old. But if you get them when they're nice and fresh and kind of white like this, they are pretty good to eat. So the shaggy mane is an edible mushroom, and you can probably find them now in November as long as the weather stays fairly mild. Eastern wahoo has some very beautiful fruits that form on their branches now in the fall. This eastern wahoo is a small tree that likes to grow in floodplain forests as a general rule. Not very common here in the driftless region, sorry to say, so you will have to hunt to find these delightful little trees here. But in the fall, they've got a kind of a, you might say, a two-part color show. They've got the kind of the little pink husk there that surrounds the redder berry. And for a while, that pink husk will be closed, but then they'll pop open. And the other name for these little eastern wahoo plants are hearts of bursting, because you can kind of see that's the way those fruits look when they open up wide like this. But anyway, they're one of the last kind of hurrahs of fall color that we have fruiting here in the driftless region. So if you're out and about now in early November, these little eastern wahoo berries will kind of brighten up your day. By the way, this is not burning bush. That is a cousin in the Euonymus family, but that is very invasive and aggressive, and do not plant burning bushes in your yard.